Hello, I'm Ethan from the Santa Barbara Middle School Teen Press, and today I'm here with...
Julie Schneiderman from EcoStiks.
Nice to meet you, Julie. So, can you tell me a little bit about EcoStiks, please?
Sure. So we are a business and we make patches made from recycled water bottles, originally designed around our loving for surf, and for wetsuits, so they stick on everything but.
So, is that what would you say what your greatest challenge in starting EcoStiks has been? The wetsuits, or has it been something else?
I would say the biggest challenge was having this vision that they would be part of the surfing industry and sticking to wetsuits, but then it turned out our biggest failure was our biggest success. So we were able to use our EcoStiks to stick on everything else, and then we turned our EcoStiks patches into a platform for change. Because they were made from recycled water bottles, we then decided to use that as our kind of motivation behind the business itself. So we now work with brands, nonprofits, and ambassadors to bring awareness to single-use plastics, upcycling and recycling using our EcoStiks.
That's incredible. So early on, you had said small waves make big waves. How would you say that is? Is that still holding through? Would you say?
Yes, I would. That's our main ethos is small waves make big waves. So I would call myself a bit of an accidental activist entrepreneur. It wasn't really my main focus when I created EcoStiks. They were actually called something entirely different, patch sticks, and I was more focused on the surf industry. And then I realized that having them being more environmentally sustainable through the process of small batch manufacturing and our inks, and again the material, that what resonated with our customers were the fact that they were eco-friendly. Yeah, that's kind of what I learned, is that all the little things that we do now are going to make a big difference in the future. And so I'm learning on my journey as well as how to be an activist, and realizing that so many other people also want to be part of that, but not sure how. And so we're kind of giving them a little platform to do that.
That's really incredible. How did you started off as a lawyer for corporations. How did you make the switch over? That must be a pretty difficult transition.
That's a really good question. So I did legal operations for a lot of SaaS companies here in town throughout the years. I had my master's in international law and my JD, and it actually wasn't as hard of a transition as you would imagine. A lot of work hours, a lot of time behind a computer, and I wanted to make a transition to doing something around my passion, which was the ocean.
That's incredible. Yeah, I'm really interested in that. How would you say you switched over? What was the initial motivation to do the switch? Because it's got to be like pretty shocking to realize, oh, I'm working in these great companies and I'm really successful, and then going to do something completely different, like dip your toes in a new kind of water. How would you say that? Like, what inspired you to make the initial transition there?
That's a great question. Well, first, I thought it would be way easier than it was. Totally, as an entrepreneur, that it was, you think you're going to create a product and everyone's going to buy it instantly. Yeah. So that was a little bit of a shift. And I quit my job, and then COVID hit 2 months later. So it was quite a challenge to create a business and a product based on something that you touch and feel when no one can touch and feel it. So there was a lot of highs and lows, but through the support of the community and a lot of determination and complete passion and belief that it was going to work. And I would say yesterday we turned 4, and we're now hitting our stride. So we've created our manufacturing process and our pipeline, and we have a really good idea about who our customers are. We're doing a lot of work in the promotional products industry around getting promo products out of landfills and sustainability, and that's a really big push for us. So, and for the community at large. So we were able to tap into that resource. So we're finding our funnels. So I guess it was, sometimes if you knew now what I know then, I'm not sure I would do it. Yeah. But it's highs and lows, and I think we found our wave, I guess, would be a right analogy.
Jumping off of what you just said about about probably not doing it if you didn't know, what would some advice you would give your former self be?
Oh my gosh, I was pretty naive, just thinking that it was all going to work out, which is a great way to be at times. But I think I I guess I would have maybe educated myself or got myself connected with more community organizations. Like Women Economic Ventures was really helpful as far as creating resources. And then I think because I didn't know what I was doing, I ended up hiring a lot of like experts that weren't really applicable, or I tried to do things too soon rather than kind of waiting it out a little bit to see what would evolve. So I think I got a little anxious in the process. So
yeah, awesome. Switching tact a little bit, how has you've created a community around a lot of different artists, and especially female artists who are working to make use of the blank canvases that you see everywhere, like on clothing and water bottles. How would you say that's working for you?
Yeah, that's kind of an amazing journey. So originally the company was a B2C company. I envisioned it more like a Redbubble. So where we would support artists, they would be able to submit their designs and then we would sell them on a one-off, one-to-one basis. And it wasn't as successful as we had anticipated, because as a new inspiring artist you need a following, and so we weren't able to generate enough revenue doing it in that way. So we became B2B, meaning that we now work with artists to create bulk volume of their art. And the vision there for me was that taking someone's art that's on a wall, just that few people get to see, to be able to put it all over the world and creating these mini canvases. And it's been great. So we work with a ton of artists now. They can make custom EcoStiks. We send it them, and then they either resell it or give them away as a way to promote their own artists. It's another avenue to showcase their art in the world.
So you've said that you make a lot of your patches with recycled plastic. How do you source that plastic? That seems a little difficult.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So we use a fabric called Reprieve, and it's one of the most well-known fabrics in the outdoor industry. And originally the idea came from, because I have a rash guard from Volcom that's made from Reprieve, and so that was the impetus of the idea of like, well, if they can make a rash guard, why couldn't we make little mini sticky kind of patches, t-shirts out of it? And so we rely upon them and our auditing system to make sure that they're doing the work they're doing, and they're absolutely amazing.
As an entrepreneur, you've got to have lots of different skill sets. What do you think have been some of the most valuable to you over this journey?
That is a good question. I think my most valuable is connection, community, passion, vision. I think people have been inspired to get on board because of my passion, and then seeing me grow as an entrepreneur. There's a lot of things I don't have and I'm learning, but also realizing there's a lot that I don't know, and just hiring and getting the other people involved.
That's incredible. You were in a organization called the Women's something, I'm forgetting now, the Women's Economic Ventures. How have the Women's Economic Ventures supported you over time?
Oh my gosh, they've been amazing. So I've taken several of their classes. I get advised by them, and they also gave me a loan to start EcoStiks from the beginning.
Wow. What would you say your biggest single source of inspiration is for EcoStiks and life?
Well, I would say right now, currently, I started an organization called Women in the Water, along with my friend Lindsay and an amazing group of women. And that's my inspiration as far as we gather women and men to educate, inspire, and network. And through that, that's what's inspiring me with EcoStiks as well. And then from there, I would say that's kind of on a personal, social, what do I like to do outside of work kind of thing. And then the other part is really connecting with organizations that are wanting to create change, and realizing that we actually might have a way and a platform to do that that's kind of fun and creative, and also meets the needs of their sustainability goals.
It's really incredible how these stickers you've created, they're really inspirational. The incredible photos you put on them, it just spreads awareness really well around the ocean. How do you feel you could grow with your spreading awareness and spreading inspiration?
Oh my gosh, we're just getting started with these patches because we're still figuring out what they stick to. People tell us every day of different materials at different places. I just had someone ask me if they stick on logging equipment. So I mean, we are just figuring it out. We know that they stick on life vests and scuba tanks and surfboards, and we've been using them for ding repair. And so I think part of the inspiration is figuring out what they will stick to as growth, and then also the sustainability initiatives, specifically around the brands that we're connecting with, the promotional products industry, and then within retail. There's so much to grow. Pretty much every business, nonprofit has some kind of patch or sticker marketing campaign, and so we want them to use ours in replace of what they currently have, so that we can represent them as a brand, but also help contribute to the climate, issues around climate change.
You were saying some things about how you wanted other companies to replace their current stickers with yours. Do you feel as there is competition between sticker and patch brands, and how do you combat that?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it's on a multi-level. One is to encourage people. We think of ourselves more of a patch than a sticker, because oftentimes stickers are made from plastic and produce a lot of waste. But then also people tend to think of them as throwaway objects. And what we're trying to change the narrative around giveaways and products is that we really want them to be something that you can use, that are valuable, that are priced a little bit higher, so that you think about what you're going to do with it, rather than just kind of say, oh, this is great, I'm going to throw it away. And it doesn't do well for the brand or the environment.
Yeah, how did you initially come to being passionate about the environment and switching tacks from a patch company to an environmental supporting patch company? What was the change there?
Oh, that's a really good question. It's just my love of the ocean. So I realized that I've been kind of unaware for almost 50 years now about what I've been doing. And it's not that I've been overly consuming. I've never been that way, but I just wasn't really tapping into what was really happening on our planet around plastics and textiles. And it's become much more aware in the, kind of current events in the last 5 to 7 years, 10 years. And so realizing that if I want to play in this ocean that I love, and I love to travel, that I need to do something about it. And so I went on a journey myself of educating myself. That's where we met at the CEC, because I participated in their environmental steward program. And that gave me an opportunity to educate myself, meet other people, and also network with other community members. And then that was what created the end of year capstone project, which is where you saw me at Earth Day with bringing the Community Environmental Council together with the taco truck to create stories around climate change. Because I really feel like storytelling is a great way to talk about the environment that's hopeful, and also no one can dispute the way you think or you feel or what you saw like they can numbers or reports, when you get a little bit skewed in the world out there of what people are thinking about.
Awesome. What would you say the biggest thing you learned from the CEC Climate Stewards course is? And what message would you like everyone to know from that course?
I would highly recommend taking it. It was a lot of information in a short amount of time, and but what it did provide is a lot of opportunities to digest certain topics further. I think what also, it was both inspiring to see how many different people and organizations are really working to try and create change. I think what also kind of came across to me is there's a lot going on, and that there's a lot of opportunity for more collaboration between groups. And then I just think it would be, if anyone wants to take it, it's worth it for sure.
Awesome. Okay. What homework assignment would you give me or the whole entire school, if you could give everyone a homework assignment, and why?
A homework assignment? That's a really good question. I think I'm just more of a go out in nature and see how it makes you feel, and what it inspires you to do, and how it connects with the things that you know and the things that you want to know, to create growth within yourself and the world.
How has nature been an outlet or a inspiration for you over the years? Like, how has it affected you and inspired you, would you say?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. I think in nature is really the only place I feel at peace. So I am drawn to it on a regular basis just to feel at peace and feel at home. And so I have been kind of a tomboy nature baby since I was little, loved to play in the dirt and continue to do that. I was a river raft guide and surfing, and anytime I could get outside and travel, I did and I do, and I still continue to believe and subscribe to that lifestyle, that being in nature is what makes me feel good.
Yeah, the being in nature, like as a second home or even our first home. What do you think of the idea of living in houses in cities? Like, how does that affect you? Like, kind of random, broad question, but like, what do you think of that?
Well,
that notion?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm actually kind of an interesting person to ask that. I lived in my van for a year last year as just an experiment because I was kind of curious about what that looks like, feels like. I think that there's a lot of opportunity all over the world. Like when you live in cities, you find parks, and it's really important to support having parks in big cities. And then when you're out, you get a little bit more freedom and space. But having diversity is really helpful, and accessibility, giving people the opportunity to try different things, is also something that I think would be really important.
When you were in college, you took a semester at sea, and you said you've loved traveling and seeing the world, but some of the most inspirational places you've been to.
Ooh, that's a really good question. Yeah, I did semester at sea. We went all over the world. I was studying political science and social justice at the time. This was way back in the 90s. I think what was super inspirational is we went to South Africa in the year that Nelson Mandela was released from prison, and we got to see and listen to him talk, and then tour what different communities look like, and that was super inspiring for me. The other place we visited was in Madras in India. We got to go to a Dalit village, which is they're based on the caste system and the lowest caste, and we slept on the floor of of the village, and it was so amazing, such amazing, nice people. We were there, and the kids did a performance for us, and they had one TV in the whole town, and it was all kind of connected, and they did a performance of Michael Jackson for us, which was so wild in the middle. I mean, you could not be farther from where Michael Jackson, you would have thought that, and we were completely surprised and shocked just thinking about how influential music and icons are all over the world.
How influential would you say art and the spread of ideas is, and how would you say EcoStiks is helping in that?
Yeah, that's you asked some really amazing questions. So one of the things in kind of my vision is that EcoStiks started a little bit around social justice, about what was going on in the world at the time, that with the COVID and the elections and some things like that. So a lot of our designs at the beginning were around social justice initiatives. And one of the things I got super passionate and curious about is the idea of patches over time. And so I did a bunch of research around the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and how different times and different movements used patches as a way of self-expressing themselves around how they felt about what was going on in the political climate. And so I kind of mimicked and kind of copied that kind of feel for EcoStiks when it started, this idea that you can create self-expression on your body.
That's awesome. It's so cool to see all these. I know. It's so cool to see all these. I know I already said it, but these are just so inspirational, and they make me want to go swimming and diving. Like looking at the seal here, like I don't want to go back into math class or whatever it is. I want to go swimming and diving and play in the ocean.
That makes me so happy. I mean, that's the idea, right? And it's a relatively simple product. It doesn't have to be complicated to create inspiration, but really it is. It's that idea that you want to help protect and be part of something bigger than yourself, which is what EcoStiks is all about.
How would you say you came to nature and found nature as a place for self-expression and a second home?
I would say it came out of loneliness. You know, I was a kid with, I don't know, big family, lots going on, and I tend to find myself wandering outside a lot just to find peace. And yeah, I think it started with loneliness and wanting to create community and connection after being in nature and wanting to share it with others.
Do you think that worked?
Yes, it did. Yeah, that is such a good question. I feel a lot less lonely, that is for sure, since starting EcoStiks and Women in the Water and getting to connect with community members. And I hope it also helps other people feel less lonely.
You've put a lot of emphasis on spreading circles and connecting with people. What would you say some of the most influential connections or groups you've been involved in or started have been?
That's a really good question. I think they all have, right? So I would say Women in the Water, a National Association of Women Business Owners. I just won an award for Entrepreneur to Watch at the NABO Bravo Awards, which was really amazing because that meant, thank you. It was, thank you. It was really great because my community nominated me. So it made me feel really good to think that they're supporting me and I'm supporting them, and it just felt really validating about the work that I was doing. They were amazing. And then obviously my Women in the Water group is really wonderful. And then I also work with like other organizations and communities like all over the world doing citizen science projects, and yeah, any way I can get involved, I do.
Wow, that really is incredible to hear that you got an award nominated from the people around you. Congratulations. That's super special.
It was. It really was. It was so sweet because my 83-year-old dad came down and flew and just to see it, and he's worked through a lot of entrepreneurs in his life, and at the end he said I was his favorite one in 50 years just because of the work I was doing with the environment.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a big deal when your dad's, you're never too old to get.
All right, now I gotta check my collage again.
These are very thoughtful questions. I'm telling you, most people don't even.
Thank you.
I am telling you that you're really getting me to think about the whole picture of EcoStiks. This is amazing.
Well, the entire picture of EcoStiks, it's really inspirational and it's spreading so much awareness. I didn't end up seeing how far you've gone with the spreading of EcoStiks. How far would you say you've spread the message of EcoStiks and like put it across different communities? Like how far would you say that's gone?
I'd say we're kind of in our seed sapling, and it's the wave, or I guess they call it the wheel, is just like now starting to take off. So we have kind of infiltrated our local community, but now we're getting really involved with the promotional businesses. So we have some of the largest distributors, promotional product distributors, repping EcoStiks now, which is a huge win for us. And then we're actually in talks with a lot of other kind of local retailers, which, cross fingers, if they go well, that would be a huge win for us. So we're kind of, I would say, 4 years in and maybe 1% there.
Well, that's amazing that you see so much room to grow there. What's a way that your local community can support EcoStiks in its journey?
There's quite a few ways. So we just launched an ambassador program. So if you want to take part in EcoStiks and that you're doing something amazing for the environment, we have special ambassador EcoStiks patches that if you showcase them, we will absolutely showcase the work that you're doing on our social media and our website. The idea is that I really want to be able to showcase boots on the ground action that's occurring that maybe wouldn't normally get attention. The other thing is we work with so that's really exciting. That's one of my main kind of super inspirations for why I started EcoStiks to begin with, is to be able to support on the individual level. Then we also have nonprofits. So we do like a 15% discount off the top for nonprofits that align with the mission vision, so we can help them get their message out. And then with our brands and our corporations, we're just wanting to get them to think sustainably when they make some choices around their marketing and branding.
So you said you moved from your spot in Santa Barbara in the Funk Zone down to San Diego. How has that change affected you and your lifestyle?
It's amazing, actually, because so you have to imagine EcoStiks started in my garage to the warehouse in a Funkzone, and now the and I was doing everything. I made all the EcoStiks myself. I was selling the whole, as you do, marketing, selling, making all the whole thing. And so now it went from my garage, just me, to the warehouse, right? And then expanded making them there, and then bringing more people on board. And then now that they're outsourced manufacturing to another green manufacturer in San Diego, that frees me up to do all the work that I like to do. So now they do all the customer service, they do all the manufacturing, they do fulfillment, which is a huge part of what EcoStiks is about. But now I get to do more of the things that I love, as far as bringing awareness to single-use plastics, all the environmentals, the business development, the meeting other people to grow EcoStiks as a real player in the sustainable kind of what do they call it? Like a sustainable community, I guess I would say.
Wow, that's really inspirational to hear. It started in your garage. That must be pretty difficult to deal with a sticker company or a patch company, out of your house. Like that's a lot of work. What are some of the hats you wear now that it's in San Diego and no longer in your house?
Yeah, well, I think there's this saying that you get to the point where you work on your business instead of in your business. And so I more have the opportunity to work on my business versus in my business. So I have, and the people that I have brought on board are the experts, and I am not the expert, and I've never been, so it's amazing to have the right people doing the right job, because it will help us scale faster and get our messaging out faster.
How would you say teamwork has played a role in the growth of EcoStiks and community connections in the growth of EcoStiks?
Yeah, teamwork is what it's all about. I think it's had me grow as a person as well. I haven't really, I didn't have a lot of experience managing people. I managed projects. That was kind of my, with operations. And so learning styles about how to work with others, as well as what works for me. I learned that I'm not a micromanager. I'm more of I like working with people who are self-starters, and they can kind of figure it out and then come to me if they have questions. I've learned that I'm not really good at kind of spoon feeding what people might need to do. So that is definitely something I learned about my managerial style. And then it's really what figured out how to make that team work. And you need everybody, all the different styles. It's just figuring out how to align them so that we work collaboratively, like efficiently.
Awesome. What would you say draws you to hiking and yoga and surfing, especially yoga? You said hiking and surfing is outdoors, but how about those kind of extracurricular, for lack of a better word, things?
They just make me feel good. Really, it's a feeling. And, yoga is a feeling, and a lot of it is the power of yoga is in the process, in the transitions between poses. And I think when you're an entrepreneur, you're in constant transition, and it just helped me be a little bit more at peace with those transitions. And then just when you think you have your pose, you either fall or have another transition. And so it just reminds me that we're always constantly moving, and there's highs. And then I always love the savasana at the end, where you sit still for 2 minutes. And I've been trying to do that more in my life and practice, of just lying still to process all the things that are happening, just so that you can get yourself a little bit more grounded so you can start again.
That's really beautiful, that analogy of the transitions. Love that. How would you say homeostasis is what we're learning about in science a little bit? How would you say the homeostasis in a emotional way has played a role in your life?
Oh boy.
Okay, I'm like...
That's kind of random. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
On
I'm sorry, that really came out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, I'm like, wow, okay, let me think about this. So you might have to rephrase that question in the sense of what you meaning.
Yeah, define it for her, and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what maybe make it personal to you about what you've learned about it, so that
Uh-huh.
I can understand a little bit of the context of what you're where
Yeah.
you're coming from.
Yeah,
I don't
sorry.
answer from way left
You're
field.
talking about.
I'm sorry, that really came out of
No, I love
nowhere.
it. I love it. Bring it on. It's
Yeah.
challenging.
So the homeostasis is what we're learning about in science. It's the idea of change and then making changes to come back to an equilibrium. Like how would you say the constant change, is that balancing for you, or would you say you're always trying to return to a state of equilibrium, or like a steady state?
I see where you're going with this. Okay, yes. All right. So, well, I am someone who likes change. I like change a lot. I realize not everybody is like that. And I'm definitely, as I'm getting older, slowing down on the change. And I learn by doing. So I am kind of doing constantly, but I'm getting a little tired of always doing that, and enjoying maybe going back to I guess where you're talking about stasis, that kind of balance as I get older. So it's fun for me to see the younger generation and their excitement, enthusiasm, and lots of movement, and then being able to support and contribute to that, with the idea of, like, I think that's going to be my place of kind of stasis, of equilibrium, is seeing when I can no longer move the way that I want to, but seeing the next generation that is, and that hopefully I would have some kind of inspiration in that process.
Well, thank you. You truly are an inspiration to the younger generation. So thank you for coming out, and thank you for letting me interview you. Really appreciate your time.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much. It's been such a gift. Truly, it's been such a gift. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Cut scene.